Senate, House, and Intelligence Committees will be briefed today on the National Security Agency's secret surveillance programs. Now, the head of the NSA was questioned on Capitol Hill Tuesday, days after a former employee blew the lid off the top of the secret programs. Lawmakers have voiced concerns over the surveillance and also Edward Snowden's disclosures. One of those lawmakers, Texas Congressman McCaul, who serves as the Homeland Security Chairman. He joins us now live from Washington. Good morning, Congressman. You do have some mixed opinions about the surveillance programs because you have been quoted as believing that they save lives and thwarted terrorism, yet you can also understand why Americans might be mistrusting of the government.
You know, correct, Jose, and it's great to be on your program again. Yeah, I mean, it's a legal, lawful program reviewed by what they call the FISA court, which approved of these activities, so you have judicial review. On the other hand, I think on the heels of the IRS scandal targeting conservative groups, surveillance from DOJ on Associated Press and Fox News reporters, the optics come at a terrible time because of this sort of overreach on the part of this administration. I think it boils down to an issue of trust, and I think a lot of Americans are losing trust in this administration, in this president. And I guess the question is, do you want this administration to have access to your phone records? And, you know, I was a counterterrorism prosecutor, federal prosecutor. In the old days, we'd take that phone number and run it through the private phone companies. We never assembled a massive database of every phone record that exists with these phone carriers. And I think that's part of the concern. That's why we're going to be having oversight hearings on Capitol Hill talking about this. We're getting briefed. I got briefed on it last week on the program itself. And, you know, it has saved lives. It prevented the New York subway bombing by Mr. Zazi, and it stopped a couple of other attacks. But I think there's a privacy issue here that we always have to weigh with security.
Congressman, now, what's going to happen now that the programs have been made public and they were not supposed to have been made public? Is there a need to worry about national security now?
Well, I think the leaker did some great damage in terms of the information regarding PowerPoint presentations and exposing the program itself. It has caused some damage that I'm concerned about as in the post-Boston climate that we're in, what this could expose us to. I think I've always advocated this individual should be prosecuted. He did violate national security law. But I think it's a time for the American people to have a dialogue about this. I think it's time for us to provide oversight. And I think it's also time, I think the NSA is planning to declassify certain elements so that they can actually talk about it. I think part of the problem is, you know, it's a valuable program, but you're pretty much hamstrung when you can't even talk about it because it's classified. So I think there's an effort to declassify so that more of the information about the program can be made and the case can be made to the American people.
A delicate balancing act that will have to be made in Washington. I want to switch gears now. Major Nidal Hasan's trial coming up soon. Testimony should begin sometime next month. He's defending himself. What do you think about the judge's decision to allow him to question the victims?
Well, I think, you know, there's a statement from one of the victims that they continue to be terrorized by this individual, and yet we won't call him for what he is, a terrorist. I still harken back to the fact that we're still calling this workplace violence when we all know that this was an act of jihad, an act of terrorism. This individual, Major Hassan, was in touch with al-Awlaki in Yemen, arguably the most powerful terrorist in the world, asking him for permission to do what he did. And now he's saying that he was defending the Taliban when he did this. It is absolutely unconscionable. I think the old saying, the old adage, someone who represents himself has a fool for a client. And I think Major Hassan is not only a fool, but a hardened terrorist, and he needs to be treated that way.
Real quick, if he's found guilty, what punishment would you prefer?
Well, listen, I used to preside over all the death row appeals for the state of Texas when I was Deputy Attorney General, and I've seen far less egregious cases than this one go to the death chamber. I think the death penalty is very much in order in this case.
Congressman Michael McCaul, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule in Washington to join us here at Fox 26 Morning News. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jose.